Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Sensei series. For those of you new to my channel, these are instructional type videos I like to put out now and then that tackle some of the more philosophical aspects of musicality. If you're not a musician yourself, or you just don't enjoy this type of content, well, thank you for taking the time to check out this video, but maybe it's not for you, and that's okay, because I got plenty of stuff coming in the near future that I know you'll enjoy. For everyone else, here are 4 tips to improve your sense of rhythm. I reached out to you guys asking you what topics you'd like to hear covered in this series, and Jacob Kallenbach asked, could you bring up rhythm/timing exercises and thoughts? In all your videos, you have an incredible feeling and groove that I've always been searching for. Okay, I didn't necessarily need to read the second half of that comment, but every now and then you gotta give yourself a pat on the back. Now, I love this question for a number of reasons. Many musicians don't work on rhythm nearly enough. It's often overlooked in favor of things that are more flashy or exciting. While all those other things are great, rhythm is much more important. As great as Van Halen's Eruption is, that is not the song that gets the girls on the dance floor. Listen, anyone and everybody can play the riff from Iron Man, but when Tony Iommi plays it, it sounds that much better. Why? Because of the time, because of the groove. As a little bit of a side note, I'm going to be using the terms time feel, groove, and rhythm interchangeably throughout this video. Playing with good time is what separates the men from the boys and the women from the girls. We're all about equality over here at Samurai Guitarist. Everyone, including myself, can work on the rhythm. So, let's look at 4 tips to improve your rhythm. Number 1, practice with a metronome. Now this is a given. This is what most people will tell you to do if you're looking to improve your rhythm. What I'd like to do today is dig a little bit deeper and look at some more advanced exercises you can use when practicing with a click. First of all, what is a metronome? It's this little thing right here, and it acts as a musical clock. Like a clock, it has a consistent rate or pulse that it triggers at, giving us our musical beats. A regular clock will trigger once every second, giving us 60 beats per minute. A metronome can be set so that it has any number of beats per minute. The higher the beats per minute, or BPM, the faster the song. The lower the BPM, the slower the song. If you don't have a metronome, you need to go out and buy one. It's your new best friend. Yeah, sorry Charlie, I can't hang out again. I'm playing with my metronome. You can also find them online for free. You've got no excuses. See, the more you play along with a metronome, the better your internal time feel becomes. If you're learning a brand new lick and you can only play it slow, get your metronome going, play along to that. If you're just jamming by yourself to your favorite song in your room, put on a click, use that as accompaniment. It might feel a little bit unnatural at first, but the more you do it, the better it's going to sound. And as you get better at playing with a metronome, that is your internal time feel improving. Okay, so that's the obvious stuff. Let's talk about some more advanced techniques. Okay, so check this out. Try playing along to a click that is really, and I'm talking unnaturally slow. Let's check it out. It's not easy. The amount of space between the notes leaves a wide margin of error. So if you're too far ahead, you're going to hear that. If you're too far behind the beat, you're going to hear that as well. Whereas if you're playing with a click that's fast, it's not quite as easy to hear those discrepancies. How about this for another technique? Why not try putting the metronome in a little bit of a weird spot? Let me explain. If the tempo of a song is 120 beats per minute, and the metronome is set at 120, in this case, the beat would be counted 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, with the metronome triggering on every beat. Let's take this little lick as our example. So with the metronome, it sounds like this. Well, what if we had the same song, 120 beats per minute, but we set the metronome to half as fast, 60 beats per minute? This way we could have our click triggering on every second beat. Let's check it out. Do you see what we're doing here? We're playing at the same speed, but the metronome is being stretched out. This really engages our internal time feel. The farther that you space out this metronome, the harder it's going to be. Let's go one step further. We could set our metronome to 30 beats per minute, half as fast as what we were just doing. Now this is a little crazy, but now we're triggering on every 4th beat. And you can move this 4th beat around in the bar so that it triggers on the 1st beat of every bar, the 2nd beat of every bar, and so on. Now what this does, this gets us out of our comfort zone and gets us really thinking about rhythm. Now keep in mind, these are some more advanced tactics. These are things that you're not necessarily going to want to try the first day you get your metronome. Be prepared to spend some time on this stuff and work up to some of these tougher challenges. This is a lot to take in. I'm going to put some links down there in the description box. So if you have to pause, if you have to go back and rewatch any part of this video, it's going to make it very easy for you. Okay, tip number 2, record yourself. Now this is important because you're going to be able to analyze your playing much more clearly when you're listening back to it than when you were first playing. I'd recommend playing along with a click. This way you can see if you're playing ahead of the beat or behind the beat. And if you know what you have a natural tendency to do, you can take active measures to change that. Here's something pretty cool. Most recording software now gives you a digital representation of your waveforms. Whether it's GarageBand, Pro Tools, or a free program like Audacity, it doesn't really matter. All you want to be able to do is to see how you're playing and your waveforms line up compared to the click. Here's an example that I did of me playing along with a click. So for me, being able to see how my playing lined up with a click leaves no doubt about what my natural rhythmic tendencies are. I know from working on my recordings, I have a little bit of a tendency to be ahead of the beat. So when I'm recording something or playing with a band and can feel that my rhythm isn't quite right, I know that I probably need to slow down a little bit and lay back. Okay, moving on, number 3. Play with musicians who have good rhythm. A big part of music is learning through osmosis, absorbing things without consciously doing so. Every time you listen to a piece of music, you're learning through osmosis. Whether you like it or not, elements of that song are seeping into your musical subconscious. If you listen to a ton of East Indian music, your sense of rhythm and phrasing is going to be very, very different than someone who listens to mostly two-tone ska, for example. The absolute best place to learn by osmosis is playing with other musicians. If you're playing with a drummer, you're going to be on the same musical wavelength as them. You're going to be highly engaged in the music, whereas somebody who's sitting in the audience won't be nearly as engaged, even if they are listening actively. And as such, your brain's going to be absorbing much more of what's going on around you. So by playing with musicians who really groove, your feel is also going to improve. If this isn't available to you, maybe you don't have a lot of friends who are musicians or whatever, play along with your favorite records, find some backing tracks online, anything like that. I would still recommend seeking out those fellow musicians. If you can do it in a live setting on stage, there's nothing better than that. The place you'll do the most learning is on the bandstand. Alright, we're coming down the home stretch here. Tip number 4. Move your body to the music. It's going to be easier to play in time if you can feel the music throughout your body. You want to be consistently moving something to the beat. Now, I'm not saying you have to do Pete Townsend windmills, but at the very least you want to be tapping your foot, nodding your head, moving your shoulders to the beat. The more of you that is engaged, the more of you that is keeping time. Here's a little story. When I was getting my music degree, I had a class every week that was called the Rhythm Section Workshop. You play a song for some of your peers and some of the professors, and they critique you on what they liked and what they didn't like. Now, the instructors for this class were some of the grooviest players in the country, and when they give you tips, you listen. Well, one class, I was playing a funky little number with a drummer and a bass player. After we played the song, one of the professors said to me, "Man, Samurai, I knew right away that was going to be grooving. I could tell you feel the music just based on the way you move to it." True story. And at the very least, if you move to the music, you might be able to trick some people into thinking you got good groove. Even if you're just listening on Spotify or the radio or whatever, tap your foot to the music, bob your head, play drums on your knees. Whenever you get a chance, try to engage yourself in rhythm. So there you have it. 4 tips to improve your rhythm. By working on this stuff, you're setting yourself ahead of so many musicians out there. Any day of the week, I'd rather play with a musician who has good groove over a guy who's really flashy. If you can do both, that's just a bonus, but rhythm is always king. It's really what makes a musician or a band sound professional instead of amateur. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know. I'm still making wild and wacky music videos. This is just a nice way to stay in touch between some of those projects. If you made it all the way this far, why don't you tell me about a song that makes you just want to get up and dance? What's one of the grooviest numbers that you know? Let me know in the comments. And if there's something that you'd like to see covered in a future Sensei series, I'm always looking for feedback. I'm Samurai Guitarist. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.